Doug, we just got an insight then into that war of words between Rome and Paris. This has been going on for a long time. Where does it end?
Well, there's no end in sight right now, unfortunately, and it is a ratcheting war of words. Look, this coalition, this has been going on and building to a crescendo ever since this coalition was formed last spring in Italy. A coalition, remember, anti-establishment, party and the far-right league getting together and basically in a very, very sort of populist slash nationalist bent, you seizing on immigration, but notably anti-migrant policies as sort of a lightning rod with which to sort of galvanize their base, their followers. And it's part and parcel of trends that we've been seeing not just in Europe but everywhere. You look across the ocean, you see Donald Trump's America First, you see Brexit taking hold across the Channel in Britain, you see in Eastern Europe a lot of anti-EU sentiment, anti-immigrant sentiment, Euroscepticism, and Italy now, a bastion of Western Europe, is right now sort of in the grips of its own populist movement. Emmanuel Macron, you're right, it's a war of words. And really what happened is shortly after that government was formed last spring, Emmanuel Macron likened anti-migrant sentiment to leprosy. And he suggested, he said, you know what, Italy, what you have isn't a migrant crisis right now. He's talking to the populist government there, the far-right government, saying, you don't have a migrant crisis, you have a political problem right now. You can imagine that Italy hasn't taken that well, and we have European elections coming up next May. This is an extremely sensitive moment. Any words are going to be sort of seized upon. And right now the nationalists, the populists, far-right politicians are seen as poised to make quite strident gains in those European elections. So this is a moment where politicians in Italy are seizing on this moment, unfortunately migrants being caught up in it as pawns.
Indeed, and so it really seems like they're being scapegoated here effectively, aren't they, migrants, in this war of words between the two countries?
They are being scapegoated quite literally and caught in the crosshairs of these policies. What's interesting here is we have had Europe itself, everyone sort of pointing the finger at everyone else and trying to transfer the burden of taking in migrants, of accepting migrants to other countries. And some countries, as we've seen in Central Europe, ruling it out altogether, such as Hungary, not taking migrants at all. Italy and Malta, I'll point out, what's been interesting here is not only has it become anti-migrant, the sentiment is such, the populist tide has reached such a level in Europe, the mood has shifted so much against migrants in many ways, that even those who try to help migrants, that is charities, rescue ships who try to pluck them from the seas on unseaworthy dinghies, these smugglers' boats from the Mediterranean, even they are now the subject of crackdowns. It's becoming harder for them. It's almost practically being made criminal to go out there and help migrants to try to make that treacherous journey and to get to European shores. And well over 2,000, almost 2,300 migrants died at sea trying to make that journey from Africa in 2018 alone. We don't obviously have the numbers yet for 2019. It just started. But it's a very unfortunate situation. And from the point of view of migrants right now, unfortunately, they have become political pawns in what is sort of a broader back-and-back tit-for-tat between these so-called progressive forces, which ironically are now seen as represented by Emmanuel Macron, who's actually a centrist politician, and the populist forces right now seated there in Italy. So, and it's not going away anytime soon. These elections in Europe are around the corner. If anything, things are probably going to get even more heated. I'll note that the Europe minister, Nathalie Loiseau, said today that basically France was not going to get drawn into what she called a stupidity contest with Italy over this whole issue.
All right, Doug, thanks very much for your time and your analysis. Douglas Herbert there from our International Affairs Desk.